This is QTV News with me, Mamadou Gajaga. Our top stories. Edward Singate sought Fafanyang and Koli finished him, witness alleged. Fire service graduates 40 firefighters. The National Nutrition Agency launched Gambia Micronutrient Survey. Those are our top stories, and now the news in detail. Ex-Army officer Modulamin Ba of the Gambia Armed Forces Tuesday testified before commissioners of the Truth, Reconciliation and Reparations Commission. His testimony was in relation to the events that led to the 22nd July 1994 coup and the November 11 incident. QTV's Ansumana Esonyasi tells us more.
Ex-Army officer Modulamin Ba Tuesday appeared before commissioners of the Truth, Reconciliation and Reparations Commission. His testimony was in relation to the events that led to the 22nd July 1994 military coup, the alleged execution of soldiers at Union Barracks on the morning of 11 November 1994, and his alleged victimization. In his testimony, the witness claimed he participated in the July 22, 1994 coup and served as orderly to former Army Commander Lieutenant Colonel Babukar Jatta following the change of government. Further testifying, the witness made disturbing revelations as he claimed that former council member Edward Singate had informed him that plans were afoot to stage a coup, and in the event they failed, they would resort to plan B, that was to assassinate all commanding officers and loot the central bank.
He told me about what happens, and as I said, I explained the story to him. He told me that don't worry, we are about to plot a coup, and people like you are working, closer to a very big man. Sometimes you may need certain informations which we would like you to provide. I said, that's not a problem. So I said, but when is this going to happen? He said, no, take your time. I'm just here to inform you that this is what we are up to. This is what is going to happen. And he said, when we succeed, we are going to compensate each soldier. Each soldier is going to be compensated. And furthermore, he said, that is plan A. Plan B, when it fails, they are going to assassinate all the senior officers in the army then, and then loot the central bank and then flee.
Also testifying on the alleged execution of Fafanyang, the witness alleged he was first shot by former council member Edward Singate and finished off by Lamin Koli. Asked what he makes of the suggestion that Koli had accidentally fired the shot that ended Fafanyang's life, the witness disputed that theory, insisting that both Edward Singate and Lamin Koli had intentionally shot Fafanyang.
Edward asked Kanye to go and bring Fafanyang. So he was coming with Fafanyang, pushing him, asking him to run until at the ante-room. Between the ante-room and the cookhouse, they asked him to run for his life, for Fafanyang to run for his life. Hands were tied behind, with pants. As he was running, looking behind, then Edwards first fired at him. He fell down. He wanted to get up again. Lamin Koli also finished him.
At this stage, where was Koli?
Koli was standing there
amongst your group?
Yes.
Did he make a move towards Fafanyang?
If it will be a move, maybe a standing position or a firing position, but not like run towards him, no.
He aimed his
of course,
weapon?
It was an aim shot.
And then he would have to pull the trigger?
Yes.
And that would be a deliberate shot?
Of course, yes. It was a deliberate one.
Intentionally to kill?
Yes.
That's your testimony?
That's my testimony.
On his alleged victimization, the witness claimed he was arrested in 2008 after he was accused of taking money from a suspected drug dealer. He accused that he was taken to court, and after 4 years in detention, he was acquitted and discharged by the court. Following a long legal battle for his reinstatement into the army, the witness claimed he was told he wouldn't be reinstated. For fear of his life, he fled to Senegal until the change of government in 2017. Ansumana Esonyasi for QTV News.
The Gambia Fire and Rescue Service on Monday graduated 40 firefighters who benefited from an intensive 2 weeks training on breathing apparatus, search and rescue procedure by the GAFSIP team from the United Kingdom. The training, according to the officials, would go a long way towards helping the firefighters in the country to be updated with modern techniques of fire and rescue services. Babakar C. reports.
The GAFSIP charity began almost 20 years ago and is widely supported by Avon Fire Authority members and the AF and RS staff who work tirelessly to raise money, fill containers with equipment to be shipped to the Gambia, and provide training for the crews in the country. The Gambia and Avon Fire Service Partnership have trained more than 500 local firefighters in the country, with the latest one held at the Bakau Fire Station. The 2 weeks intensive training was also accompanied by the donations of materials from the UK team, which is expected to help firefighters to work more efficiently. Deputy Chief Fire Officer Lamin Sanyang highlighted the importance of the training and the donated materials in executing their duties as fire officers.
Looking at the trend of the emergencies we are receiving now, looking at the kind of houses people are building now, looking at the kind of equipments that are coming in, the hazardous, those equipments, the type of fumes those equipments are emitting in the event of fire. This breathing apparatus training is going to save our firefighters immensely, because this type of incidents are coming in daily, day out. We go into wells to rescue people, that's a daily routine. We go into houses that are critically built, no safety measures, and equipments that behaves very poorly. They send very toxic fumes. And firefighter, without this type of breathing apparatus, you are risking the life. You are risking your life by going into such incidents without breathing apparatus. So we must thank you very much, because we know every Gambians don't care the type of equipment they come in with, but it is our problem, firefighters, to make sure that we go for any type of emergency, how much hazardous it is, what we will go in.
GAFSIP team leader Dave Price said his team has been supporting the Gambia Fire and Rescue Service since 1991, ranging from fire kits, vehicles and training.
Come over this time with new breathing apparatus sets which supersede the old sets that we used to have in the Gambia Fire and Rescue Service, which were also donated by GAFSIP. We feel that the new sets that we've brought out are much more safer now than the old sets that we had here. And as with the Western world, we progress in our equipment and our training. And this is why we come back out to progress the Gambia Fire and Rescue Service with their equipment and their training. So this time we've had 4 trainers come out: crew manager, firefighter, a breathing apparatus technician, and myself as lead. So we've had a good team out here to do the training, from set description through our breathing apparatus technician, with the support of our crew manager and our firefighter.
Chief Fire Officer of the Gambia Fire and Rescue Service, Sang Kolindau, urged the trained fire officers to transfer the knowledge gained to other officers. He thanked the GAFSIP team for the support rendered to the fire service for the past 2 decades, saying without their support, they wouldn't have reached to this level.
You are not trained only to go and put this training under your carpets or your bed pillows. You are going back to your station. You are picked from various stations to go back to those stations and train your personnel. Let it not be under the carpet. The breathing apparatus is to save your lives and even save those you are going to rescue. Because during those days, I could remember there was no breathing apparatus in the Gambia ambulance by then. But due to the aid, the partnership of Avon, we were happy to receive the first consignment. That was being trained on this ground like this one which has come recently. We know how firefighting equipments are very expensive. They are more than the word expensive. If I tell Gambians that we have more fire stations than even our neighbors, people will not believe me. But really that is the truth. If people whom you know that they have more resources, more wealth, that the number of fire stations they have is limited. I have gone to so many countries, and I have seen how much fire stations they have. And we, as a third world country, through this partnership, we were able to acquire 11 fire stations, 6 paramedic clinics, 6 sea rescue stations. Name them, and maybe by this year, we'll open up the 12th fire station in Bajakunda.
The Gavship charity began in 1991 when Dave Hutchins, a former chief fire officer, was on holiday in the Gambia. He witnessed a road traffic collision in which 2 adults and 4 children died because of the unavailability of rescue equipment. When he returned home, he decided to try and make a difference by raising money to pay for equipment no longer being used in Avon to be shipped to the Gambia. Since the project began, the Gambia government has more than 10 fire stations, with each division of the country now having its own fire and rescue service covering from Banjul to Basse. Babukar C, QTV News.
The 3rd Pan-African Youth Conference began on Saturday, the 23rd of March in Kololi. The event brought together young African leaders around the continent. The event would also look into issues affecting youth in Africa and how to address the challenges. Ibrahim Balde has more on this story.
The African Youth Commission AYC is an independent Pan-African youth network founded by youth leaders to foster synergy among youths and youth organizations on the continent and the diaspora.
Excellencies, distinguished youth delegates, ladies and gentlemen, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. It gives me the great pleasure to address the 3rd Pan-African Youth Conference on African Unity and Development, which is the Islamic Cooperation Youth Forum, is honored to be one of its partners. Allow me to express my sincere thanks and appreciation to the African Youth Commission for excellent arrangements for the event that is now starting. A word of thanks and appreciation goes also to concerned Gambian authority that have made this event possible, particularly His Excellency Mr. Hadrama Sidibé, Minister of Youth and Sports of the Gambia. In fact, his presence here today among us is a testimony of his commitment and of his country for serving the African youth in particular and the youth in the world in general. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm happy to note that this event was entirely prepared and attended by young men and women from the Gambia and other different nationalities of this beautiful continent. For us, as ICYF, it is our first public appearance on an ICYF African-initiated project in one of our member states since Mr. Taha Ayhan has taken his office as a president of ICYF on 1st December 2018. It's important to note that the ICYF is an affiliated organ of the Organization of Islamic Cooperation.
I am sincerely honored to be part of this historic ceremony, the official opening of one of the biggest youth conferences of the continent. On behalf of His Excellency Adama Barrow, President of the Republic of the Gambia, the government and the people of the Gambia, I wish to extend a warm welcome to all the international delegates to the smiling coast of Africa. My ministry and National Youth Council are delighted to host this great event, 3rd Pan-African Conference on African Unity and Development, and the General Assembly of African Youth Commission on the theme, "The future is now. Youth are not too young to lead." Be rest assured that we have made the best choice. The Gambia is known for its hospitality and without doubt the most suitable for such important and result-oriented convergence. It is our hope that this year's conclave in the Gambia will not only be the best in its organization, but also in content and output. Mr. Chairman, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, we are well aware of AYC's undiluted commitment in promoting the involvement of young Africans as relevant stakeholders in the implementation of Africa Agenda 2063 and UN 2030 goals.
This conference happening in Gambia, first of all, Gambia is a very critical nation in the history of African youth development, because this is where the African Youth Charter was founded, along the margins of the Banjul Plus 10 Summit. So, in the history of the African Youth Commission, this has been the biggest and most significant conference that the African Youth Commission has hosted. And we want to make sure that this conference is an open call for young people across the continent to come discuss issues pertaining to the continent, issues regarding employment, entrepreneurship, governance, human rights, peace and security. How can these young people tap in, be involved in these decision-making processes? So that is the biggest agenda of this conference, to see how we can start engaging young people in these spaces.
Officially inaugurated on January 2017 in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, the network is determined and committed to providing a space and voice for youth and youth organizations. This will enable them to set and drive their own agenda, promote the involvement of young people as key partners in their implementation of the Africa 2063 agenda, as well as the UN Agenda 2030 for sustainable development. The event will further provide mechanisms to support advocacy actions on the ratification and implementation of the African Youth Charter. Ibrahim Obalde, QTV News.
A former Minister of Information and Communication Infrastructure, Demba Ali Jawo, on Saturday launched his autobiography entitled A Day with Destiny at a local hotel in Kololi. The book, which comprises 157 pages and divided into 21 chapters, is published by Fladu Publishers of veteran educationist Fode Balde and is selling at $450. Omar P. Jallo attended the launching ceremony and he prepared this report.
A Day with Destiny is hugely about journalism, and one cannot find a more up-to-date account of the trial and tribulation of the Gambian media than what is provided in this book, particularly with the advent of the military coup in 1994. Not only is the account quite detailed, but it is also glary for the fact that DA was himself a key participant in all the ups and downs that the media went through under the dictatorship. Mr. Jao, affectionately called DA, has now published his third book. The first, A Living Mirror, The Life of Deda Hydra, was co-authored with a Nigerian journalist, Alota Ahmed Alota, and the second is Focus, Bad Banks of the Gambian Transition to Democracy. As a close friend of the gone-down veteran journalist Deda Hydra, DA's book has also recounted his life as a journalist and the people he encountered in the field. Madi Jobate, the head of the Westminster Foundation's National Office, in reviewing the book, said the author narrates his childhood as a young herdsman called Gainako Infula, his adulthood, and gave an insight into his conviction and trials and tribulations he faced in the First and Second Republic and life as a minister.
As the Minister of Information and Government spokesman, then there was huge expectation that he would have had first-hand information on issues, or he could pull and make things happen, such as arranging for a foreign television station to interview the president. But the reality was that he was actually hardly involved, consulted, or given information. On foreign travels, DA was honest that indeed, given the previously pariah status of the Gambia, there was need for ministers to travel to connect the country with reconnect the country with the outside world. However, he also acknowledged that a lot of travels by ministers were too many, unnecessary, or could be delegated to other officials or even to embassies abroad so that those ministers could attend to issues at home. It was for this reason that he used to delegate a lot or turn down a lot of travels to which he was invited. What he found even more perplexing was the frequency of the president's travels with huge entourages and on chartered flights. DA has indeed given us an extensive information and analysis of his personal experience and perspectives as a minister about the current dispensation, highlighting the challenges and missed opportunities.
The Vice Chairperson of the Truth, Reconciliation and Reparations Commission, Madam Adele Shoshe, who taught DA at Crab Island and Gambia College, was the chief launcher of the book.
Every educator wants the person that you have taught to succeed and to excel. It took failure on the part of Demba to succeed. And I quote the words of Winston Churchill when he said, "Success is not final, failure is not fatal, it is the courage to continue that counts." When Demba did not make the teaching practice, not the academic subjects, but the teaching practice great in Gambia College, he had to resign from Gambia College. It broke my heart. But there was nothing that I could do about it. At that point in time, administration had changed, and even if administration had changed, we did not interfere, and we did not try to change rules. But Demba moved on with his life. And if you read the book, it was not easy. He had to go through deprivation, hardship, and a whole lot of other things to get to where he is today. And as Madi has said, he has never been a bitter person. He took his life into his hands, he moved along, and later, the tide changed. He became a mentor to my own daughter, Ndeita Falsose, at the Observer, and together with Baba Galejalo, Sheriff Bojang, and a few others, they mentored this fresher out of school.
Madam Sose expressed her gratitude for being recognized by her student to launch a book for the first time.
It's very, very important to me because, looking at the turnout, which was quite impressive, it shows you that definitely the people are interested in my story. My story is not very peculiar, it's not very particular, more than anybody else. But the very fact that people have come, to join me to celebrate the launch of this book, I'm really very, very impressed and also quite happy that it has turned out this way.
Alhaji Charno Jallo, a leader in Gambian journalism, Imam Baba Lee, Baba Silla, and others made comments about the author's good character and experience. The occasions attract people from all walks of life, including journalists, university lecturers, politicians, government officials like cabinet ministers and National Assembly members, friends and families of the author. Reporting for QTV News, I am Omar P. Jallo.
Before we end this bulletin of the news, a recap of our main headlines. Ex-Army officer Modulamin Ba of the Gambia Armed Forces Tuesday testified before commissioners of the Truth, Reconciliation and Reparations Commission. His testimony was in relation to the events that led to the 22nd July 1994 coup d'etat and the November 11th incident. The Gambia Fire and Rescue Service on Monday graduated 40 firefighters who benefited from an intensive 2-week training on breathing apparatus, search and rescue procedure by the GAFSIP team from the United Kingdom. The training, according to officials, would go a long way towards helping firefighters in the country to be updated with modern techniques of fire and rescue services. The National Nutrition Agency, NANA, in partnership with UNICEF on Monday, launched the Gambia Micronutrient Survey 2018 report and dissemination in Kololi. The Gambia's last data survey on iron and vitamin A status was conducted in 1999, and the survey findings has revealed a decline of stunting, wasting and underweight compared to previous assessments. That's it for the news. Join us tomorrow for more news.